guys, well, it's gonna be a long day. The kids are back here, and Josie and Duke are back here in the back of the pickup. But anyhow, we're heading back to, well, we're gonna go straight. I had to haul the wife over to Medford to the airport. My daughter is in Ecuador doing volunteer vet work in the Galapagos Islands. And so she's flying back into Tijuana, and my wife was real nervous about her being in Tijuana waiting for the plane. So my wife's flying out of Medford down to San Diego, and then she's gonna meet her at the airport in Tijuana and then get on the plane with her and fly back to Portland and then drive all the way back home to Klamath Falls. So anyhow, I got up at around 4:30 this morning and drove her to the airport. When we came over here, it was visibility was pretty low. It was a snowing on top of the mountain here. It was coming down now, but anyhow, it wouldn't. We still managed to make it over there on time. I haven't had a chance to make a video for a couple days. It's just, man, it's just been tell you a little bit about it. I would have liked to video it, but all the guys that work for this ranch were in there helping me, and it was just a cluster, you know. So anyways, I had a Roadrunner hay squeeze with an ISL 9. It had oil needed to be changed on it, needed to be serviced, and there was other problems, and I see some more problems that need to be addressed on it. Those guys have the bushings for the side shift on it need to be changed. But what happened was he had a really bad hydraulic leak, and those things have a clamp, you know. There's 1, 2. So let's name the functions. We have the mast up and down, we have the tilt, we have the clamps, arms in and out. There's 2 more, there's 4 functions, and then we had the side shift. There's 5 different functions. So you have basically 5 sections and 2 end caps on that valve stack, and that thing's got quite a few hours. It's a newer Roadrunner, but I mean, it's been used. This is a big outfit, and they use it every single day, especially in the winter time. They load all their hay trucks that are in there getting loaded. They usually load 4 or 5 trucks a day all winter long. And then anyhow, you know, in the summer when they haul all the hay in from the fields to the stack yard, it has to stack all the barns. So it gets a lot of time put on it. And the O-rings in between the sections on that valve stack were leaking between the sections real bad. So we keep in mind, everything was working appropriately the way it was supposed to before we tore it apart. So we tore it all apart, and we got to the last section and the kits that Sunny D gave us, it comes with the O-rings between the sections, and it comes with the backup ring and the O-ring for each end of the spool. And so, and the spools are air over hydraulic operated. There's an air pot and a 1/4 inch air line going to the bottom of each stack, each section, to run each function. Anyway, we got to what I don't understand is we got to the last spool valve, which is the mast, which is the one that's up and down, is the one that's going to be most frequently used. And, you know, all the other spools, a couple of them we had to just barely tap on them to get them started, and then you pushed them and just pulled them out by hand. Well, that main spool for the up and down on the mast, we had to beat it out the entire way with a punch. So I'm like, why that? And so I'm thinking, when I get the spool completely out, I'm going to find a screwed up spool, or screwed up, you know, lands on the spool, or screwed up lands in the valve block. Hold on, this guy's chaining up. I better back out of it here. Hang on. I don't want to hit this guy chaining up or dusting with snow. So, back to what I was saying. So I got the thing out there expecting to really see a screwed up spool, and I didn't see one. It looked fine. It was smooth. I took a light, shined down the bore. I didn't see anything wrong. I thought, well, why in the hell did that come out so hard? So I didn't think much about it. I thought, well, shit, it was working fine before, you know. We'll put it back in there just the way it was. It was obviously working. So we had to beat it back in. Same thing. Well, we assembled it, put all new seals in every section, all new seals in the spools, and put new O-ring, Boss O-rings on all the fittings where the work ports are. So we put it back in there. The damn mast wouldn't raise up or go down. Long story short, yesterday I left the valve stack in there. I mean, I tried multiple things. I thought maybe we tightened up. I torqued the sections with 3/8 bolts to 35 foot-pounds. And I thought, well, shit, are we too tight? I backed them off a little bit. That didn't help. I retorqued them back to 35. And then I thought, well, maybe we tighten them up the mounting bolts where the mount bolts mount to the frame that mount the stack. I thought maybe we tighten those up too tight. So I backed them off. It didn't make any difference. Long story short, I had that spool out of there. I counted it. I just left the stack in there, but I took the end caps and everything off and the plates and pulled the spool out of it. I had that spool out of there 11 times, and I kept taking that spool over to the bench and took 180 grit sand emery cloth and just kept polishing it and just kept going around it with emery cloth. And I finally got that spool to where I could put that in nice and smooth all the way through the whole bore by hand, and then it worked just fine after that. It raised up. They loaded, he called me when I was in Medford. He said, yeah, we loaded 5 trucks this morning. It worked fine. He goes, I don't understand why it was working with that spool the way it was before. He said, shit, you know, we didn't change anything. We put it in just the way it came out, hard. Anyways, I don't know. And I don't have enough time to tell you. I could talk for an hour on this video about the last couple days of all the clusters like that I've run into. So anyway, I'm gonna try to do a little video on the 4050 once I get over this pass back down into I have to go through Keno and hit 97, go down south. But anyways, we'll be back with you when I get to that point, I guess. Well, I thought I'd just show you a little shot of when you're coming back on 140, you can take this road called Dead Indian Road, and it'll take you basically over through Keno, Oregon, and then back over to 97. It goes on the south side, kind of south west side of Klamath. It's shorter than going all the way into Klamath and then 97. But you have to take into consideration the conditions. They don't plow the road that much here. And it's banked up, probably a good 2 feet, 3 feet of snow there on the side of the roads there. So yeah, thought you'd like to see that, see the snow up there on the trees. I let the dogs out here a minute ago, and they went out and played in the snow for a little while and took a piss. And anyways, I thought you'd like to see this. I love this. This is the winters that we used to have. I mean, I was talking to one of the guys that's not from around here. He's only been up here for about 10 years, and he goes, the other day we were working on that hay squeeze in the shop, and he says, man, this weather's crazy. I said, what do you mean it's crazy? And he said, well, the snow and it's just cold. And I said, this is what winters used to be like. You know, I said, we had the crazy stuff for me was the warm winters, you know, that I'm used to. When I was a kid, we had Clover Creek Road, a quarter mile. We'll be turning off there. But this is what it used to be like. I mean, it was not abnormal to have a foot of snow in October. So anyway, well, I got to turn off up here and we'll head on over to the shop. Okay, now I got to throw the output shaft for the PTO in it. Let's see if we can set this up here somewhere. This snap ring, the ears need to be down the bottom where you can get it back together. Now you gotta hang on a second there, son of a bitch. rotate it that way for now, and then slide it in, and then maybe turn it around. There's an opening in the case, and those ears got to be on the bottom for it to go in there. Okay. You know, there's a couple V marks on this idler gear. I'm gonna look at this a little bit closer. I don't understand why this would have to be timed, but sure as shit, there's a V right there. I'm looking to see if there's any kind of V on this. I don't understand why the hell you'd have to time this, but you never know with these goofy bastards. I don't see. I don't see nothing. Snap ring down on the bottom. Just like that. That's what's holding me now is the snap ring, I think. Yeah, I gotta squeeze it together. You gotta squeeze the ears together and get it to go the rest of the way in. Yeah, that's what's hitting is the snap ring now. Alright, let me see if I can find a pair of long pliers. Okay, so that snap ring back in there, and it just, I mean, all I can say is I hope you got patience. If you don't, you're not going to be very happy. Sometimes I can get them to pop right in there. Other times, it's like this one here, it took me 10 minutes of dicking around there, getting different screwdrivers, and I finally got a long pick. I got a long pick that I could get in between the teeth on the top. And you collapse it down here on the bottom. Let's see if I can get this. You collapse it on the bottom on those two ears, because there's an opening in the case where those ears go. And then I finally got a pick up there in the top, and got it collapsed enough to where I could get the damn thing to pop in there. So, yeah, good times. Good times, man. Alright, make sure, just kind of eyeballing stuff here and making sure shit is right. I mean, if that snap ring is in, it shouldn't come out. Alright. Okay, I gotta find the gasket that goes on here. And then we can put the back end on there. Then we can put the rock shaft housing gasket on it. And I had a PTO cover gasket here somewhere. There it is right there, but I gotta be careful because that valve block is sitting on top of it, and if I pull on that little paper gasket, I'm gonna tear it. I'll put this thing on. Okay. And the idler shaft, just make sure the idler shaft, this back part actually holds that shaft in, and it's got a cut halfway through the shaft, and that's this piece holds the shaft in. Just make sure it's lined up. I was putting the valve body back on. I still got to put the charge pump back in it, but I just decided, you know, there's a trough that goes around this gear, and what it does is when this is spinning, it shoves the oil up through here, lube something back in there, but it's rubbing a little bit on it. So I wonder if I can loosen these two bolts that hold it and try to adjust that maybe. What did I grab? Did I have my head up my ass and grab the wrong socket? Of course I did. I'm gonna try to loosen these two. Maybe if I don't know if I can adjust it. I didn't have to force it in or nothing. I mean, it went in just like it came out. You just roll it out. I don't know why. I got these loose now. We'll see if we can. Okay. So it's not dragging right there. What happens when I tighten it up? I'll tighten it up. If I push back. Let me try something a little bit different here. I don't know, I guess I'm probably worrying over nothing. Huh. It definitely doesn't like that. So I went the wrong way. I'm gonna pull it. Maybe I'll get a bar maybe, and let me get a bar. I just know my luck. I'll start the son of a bitch and it'll make all kinds of noise from that rubbing on there, and that's just the way my luck goes. Okay. Ah, shit, it still ain't no good. What the fuck's going on here? You know, what the hell? I guess it's gonna be alright. I mean, unless you... Okay, I think I finally got it. Well, it's just got... Obviously that gear is not 100% round, is it? Something's a little bit off in the gear on that gear, because it rubs in one spot and it doesn't rub in another spot. So I split this pump in half, pulled the snap rings off the shaft here, and you take these 4 bolts out, and I inspected that pump and it looks really good, so we're going to leave it in there. Sometimes I haven't changed very many of these charge pumps. They're pretty, these old cast iron pumps are pretty good, and the filtration system was actually pretty good on these old tractors. I think the filtration system to me is better than, I think, sometimes than the new ones are. Put your gasket on there, and then you gotta mount it in there like so. You know what? I think I fucked up. I think I did. I think I should have put. I think I did. I don't know if I can get that in there. I might have to pull that one gear back off of there. Oh shit! Yeah, I put the cart before the horse on that deal. I wasn't thinking there at all. No, that's all right. No big deal. Got a little bit ahead of myself there on that situation. Oh, I just gotta pop it off real quick. Let me get you over here, I guess, where you can see what the hell I'm doing. Yeah, the drive gear there, I besides the pump, I should have put that on last. A bunch of shims on these, so you got to be careful. Oh, Josie, got to be careful. Got to be careful. I had Loctite on those too, so I'll have to re-Loctite them. There's a bunch of shims on here, so you gotta watch you don't lose all them shims. Where'd the bolt go? Yeah. Been known to do things like that before. It sits on dowels too, so you gotta watch that. Now all them shims they're all trying to fall down in the case. Just like I knew they would, so. Okay, now I can maybe uncork my head from my ass. Pop that gear back off of there. Just slides off the bearing. Now install the charge pump. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking there on that deal. See that? It's got to go. Like that, if I remember correctly. Okay. There's a dowel hole there and a dowel hole there, so it's got to go like that. Make sure hang on a second. These bolts clear back, and then I can just dowel it right up. All right. Like so. These are 20 foot-pounds on these. I'm trying to remember. This long one here. And then we just gotta run those bolts in with the impact. Torque them. Now, should be able to put the drive gear on there. That'll spline up with both gears, with the charge pump gear and the PTO driven gear. Take your shim pack, slide it on the dowels here. I don't know if you can even see anything in there, but kind of dark. But we'll do that right there if this light will stand up. Maybe I'll set her down like that, maybe. I'm having a hell of a time here. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna get Loctite and put back on these, and then 20 foot-pounds on those, 20 foot-pounds on those, and then I can put the throwout bearing and tubes in here. And getting really close to. I still got to clean this gasket material off. Let's see, I got to clean this off a little better. I got to clean this off, and we're just after lunch. I'm going to come back and fire the truck up and grab the rock shaft with the crane and put it on here. And then I'm right at the point to where. I mean, there's some tubes and stuff I can put on here first. It'll be easier just to keep you from walking clear around the tractor from side to side. You can walk right around here and put on everything, hoses and tubes that you can before you get to that point. So before you roll it together. But we should have it rolled together today. Alright, I had a lot of comments, people wanting to know what a rocker shaft is. This is a rocker shaft. All the old tractors had rock shafts on them. I don't really call the new ones a rock shaft, really. I just call them lift arms. Basically, everything on this one's internal. This is all internal linkage in here. All this stuff. Now, I've had these apart, and it's very complex. All that linkage. And I'm telling you what, it's when you tear one of these rock shaft linkage setups apart, which nothing really ever really goes wrong, but when I was young and didn't know any better, I tore a 2755 apart one time, and I shouldn't have. What the hell? I'm trying to remember what happened to that thing. The cylinder's actually up in here. This style here, you can pull it out from the end, but on those 2755s, you can't. I'm trying to remember. Well, you know, I had to take it apart. For some reason, when I pressure washed this, it blew some crap up inside here. Clean it out a little bit. Anyway, this is all internal in this housing, whereas on a newer tractor like that 6170M, the cylinders are mounted externally out here, and the rock shaft actually is just a pivot point up here. So, which it kind of does the same thing, but the pivot point and the shaft is actually internal here. But all this linkage and draft, the draft system, all this stuff, the raise and lower, all that stuff works off the feedback linkage here, which runs off this roller here. So you got to get that right when you're going back together with it. So we're gonna put her back in right now. I'll set you guys over here. Right up there would be a good spot. Maybe just one hose. Hang on, I gotta find a 9/16 impact socket. When I put this cover on, I put this one bracket and the hose hangs over the edge and it's gonna fight me. I can see that already. that there, that'll be a lot better. A lot better situation. Now I gotta get to this. Hang on, I see shit smeared all over the frickin' lens. I don't know how do these guys, these other YouTubers, keep these damn things clean. I can't keep these fucking things clean. Anyways, this little arm right here, this side of it needs to go on this side of the roller. Picking it up as straight as I'd like it to. Second. Frickin' dipstick tube. It's popping out of there. I didn't see that. How did that happen? Damn it. Because it's picked up like that instead of, you know, square, son of a bitch. There it goes. Maybe not. I might have to up my straps or something to pick it up a little different. There it goes. Make sure my roller's on the right side of my. It's looking good there. Now I can put all the bolts around the rock shaft housing. This line here, you can see where the bell of the JIC is not quite on there, so there it is. Now she's on there, okay. What are we hitting here? That's supposed to go up there. That's why that's doing that. Old girls can be kind of stubborn sometimes. Okay. Get in there now, like I said. You leave that gal alone. She's mine. Bought and paid for. The hell is that lonesome dove? He walked up on him and he says, You eating possum for your supper? Yeah, but you ain't. Unless you go get your own. My wife hates watching that movie with me because I'll watch it. It's one of those movies that I can just. I'm not a TV guy. I hate most of Hollywood bullshit. That's just one of the old movies. It was, there was no political agenda shoved down your frickin' throat while you were watching it. There's always some. Well, you can't even say it. That's how bad it is. You can't even say what's really on your mind in this country anymore. There is no such thing as freedom of speech because somebody might get their feelings hurt. Oh, it's just terrible. He said something that hurt my feelings. Like my wife said, they should be more like you and not have any feelings. I get pissed off and I come back at people because I'm kind of a fighter. I've always been kind of a fighter, You want to run me down or something? Well, come on over here and I'll punch you right in the prick. That's just kind of the way I've always been. And you might come back and you might whip my ass. That's just a very possible thing that can happen. It's like I always told my son. I says, well, when he was in school, he had a kid picking on him all the time. And his mom, of course, had something different to say, but I told him a little bit different from what his mother told him, and I disagreed with her. And I said, no. If the school ain't going to do nothing about it, I said, he needs to whip his fucking ass. That's what needs to happen. Go up there and punch him right in the mouth. And I said, I bet you if you whip his ass, or you might get your ass whipped. It's a very possible thing that can happen. But that being said, most of the time, after you confront them and tell them that you've had enough of their bullshit, and you go out there and you beat the piss out of each other for a while and you bleed for a little bit, usually it's over with. And they decide that, you know what? All those times that I ever had that happen in my whole life, I wound up being friends with them after that. Because they usually respected you more if you just confronted them and said, look, I've had enough of your shit, you son of a bitch. Meet me outside after school, and let's just get after it. That's not the way it is anymore, And all these kids now, they're a bunch of chicken shits. They either call out and say somebody's hazing me, or they pull a knife or a gun on you, they're too chicken shit to fight and get their ass whipped. Can't take an ass whipping. Can't go home with a fat lip and a black eye. That's just the world we're living in now. Definitely a different world. And I don't really even poke these guys, to be honest with you. I don't worry about these. I just zip them down. And half of these you can't get on them anyway, but need an extension. Hang on, let me get an extension. Yeah, I've had my bell rung a time or two. And to be honest with you, this little bastard, I've won quite a few of them myself too. I get a kick out of this younger generation, and even some of the older guys now. They watch this MMA fighting on TV. So then they'll go out to a public event somewhere, and then they think that, they get tough with everybody because they think they're some kind of MMA fighter because they watched it on TV. And then somebody just kicks the shit out of them. It's like that kid I had working for me, that Trent kid. He was always talking about he was going to whip this guy's ass and whip this guy's ass and whip this guy's ass. And by God, I told him, you know, and I whip his ass, and then shit, he couldn't even break a bolt loose, you know. And some old skinny, scrawny son bitch like me go over there and take the bolt loose. I'm thinking, how you gonna whip everybody's ass? You can't even get the bolts out of there. That kid had like 4 or 5 different jobs since he's worked for me, and he's either quit or been fired from all of them. What's funny is I got a customer that I've never done any work for before, and he worked for this guy for a while. So anyway, this guy obviously knows all about him, knows his MO, knows him not showing up, and you know, it's just, but and you can't just say specifically it's this kid. They're all like that. All of them that I've seen are all like that. They all think that they're entitled to a living, that you owe them. You owe them because they exist. They were spat out of mommy's womb, so now everybody else owes them something, you know? Find my 3/4. I know I'm renting. You know what? It's the truth. It is the truth. You know, I got a gear wrench here somewhere. Let's try this whole Craftsman gear wrench. They're kind of a, I had a whole bunch of these at one time. They're kind of a piece of shit. These Craftsman gear wrenches were junk. Oh, I gotta get over there and put that John Deere Gator, the rest. Well, I gotta get it the rest of the way apart. I got my little clutch tool for it. Need to get over here so I don't slip off of it. I got hammers and shit laying everywhere. I was talking to my buddy Pete, and he worked for John Deere for like 25 years. And he's on his own too, just like me. And I was talking to him about this tractor, and I said, yeah, I think I'm gonna pull the brakes off and look at them. He goes, that's a 40-50? I said, yeah. And he goes, nah, you don't need to worry about that. He said, those are riveted on, they don't delaminate. And I said, oh, okay. So he said, don't worry about it. So I'm gonna go off what the guy that has worked on them forever says. So I think this is actually the first 40-50 I've ever done, to be honest with you. I mean, I've done a lot of 49-55s, 48-50s, done a ton of 44-40s. I know the 44-40s were riveted on. I didn't know, and I looked it up on the parts sale. He was right, 100%. They're riveted on. Oh shit! How did I slip off of that? I shouldn't have. Okay, can't see that one. I'll have to get these in here, and these are real joy. Well, these will take me a little while to get these all done, so let's see. I just got to start putting hoses and tubes on. These tubes laying everywhere. I'm going to get everything that I can get done here, you know, that's even the filters and everything, get everything I can get done here that's with the cab off. And then I think I got to put this back together, the assist cylinder. And then I'll probably be back with you when we start coming along. I'll just get a come along and I'll just pull it together. But these are new sealing rings. I don't know if you know what a sealing ring is. I'll show you the old ones since some of you younger ones may be watching. Those are sealing rings. Those are the old ones off of it. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, see the little hooks on the end? So a lot of automatic transmissions and cars use these tools, but when you're putting these together, you would just go like that, right? Most of the time what you would do is hold one side and then roll the other side like that, and then they'll go together, see? And the same thing when you take it apart, you hold one side and roll it and then pop it back apart. Because I've had to reuse these before because I didn't have them, and they're really hard, brittle stuff, and the little hooks on the ends will break real easy. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I've put them together before with the hooks broke. I've got screwdrivers and pinched them in and pushed whatever I was pushing in till they went in, and they worked just fine. But all right, let me put these together. Well guys, he's rolled back together. Wasn't too bad. I'm kind of a little bit nervous, to be honest with you. I don't ever pull them in. Well, I do pull them in with bolts, but I pull them in once I get on the dowels. I always know they're tight on the dowels anyway, so I got on the dowels on both of them, you know, which is probably, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch, 1/2 of an inch. And I just went a little bit on each side, and it wasn't going hard at all. I mean, you know, you can tell when you're doing something, you know, with an end wrench, whether you're pulling hard. And I went a little over here and just trying to keep my gap even from side to side. And I got just about all the way in. I heard something go clunk back here, and I'm a little bit nervous about that. I don't know, or, well, I think it was up here. So I wonder if the pilot was just a little bit off or something on it, and it just popped a little bit. I hope it didn't screw something up. I mean, I grabbed it here with a, I grabbed it up through the hole with a 9/16 end wrench and turned the crank, so it turns. You hope after all this shit you didn't screw something up, but anyways. Well, that's all I'm gonna video for now. I'm gonna clean this mess up here now, pull these blocks out, and try to clean up underneath the tractor before I go home, and then come back tomorrow and try to get this thing finished, be done with it.